that ain't saved a wretch like me. You're here, I'm pleased, I really feel your company. Your style, your smile, your pace mentality. Lord, have mercy on me. I was blind, now I can see what a king's supposed to be.
Excuse me, miss. I was in the waiting room when you gave your testimony. And what I realized is that we have an enemy in common. While you were being called to the office again, I was being put out the only home I've ever known. While you were shaking with anxiety and fear over something no one ever wants to hear, I was shaking in dread. Because we all know what happens to little girls that have no home and no one to claim them. I think our souls passed each other by. See, my soul left me a long time ago in a dingy motel room, ripped away by brutal force. It fled, unable to find its way back home.
Historical people, who would you want in your seat and why?
Wow. I guess because I'm different. You know, I'm not really starstruck. And so it would be hard to really pinpoint anybody in particular. First person that just came to my mind, you know, I mean, if I had an opportunity to cut Denzel, you know, I would.
That's a good one.
I'd do that.
That would be a dope conversation.
Exactly.
How important is diversity in your work, considering you grew up in a bilingual, bicultural home?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important. I think at this point, just in society, there's just so much diversity. You know, whether it be in language, whether it be in your upbringing, whether it be, you know, in whatever that is. And so I think growing up in, you know, a bilingual household as well as really a bicultural, despite the fact that, you know, my parents are you know, both of Hispanic descent, but growing up in two different cultures of, you know, very traditional values in the home and very different, and sometimes similar values, right, outside of the home, but in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And so,
he tests those whom he loves. I pray he continues to love me till my death. I pray he continues testing me and testing me and testing me until I have no questions left. Until I can ingest knowledge and choke on lies and spit out truth with every breath. But you see, until love for what he loves and hate for what he hates is the only thing that's left within my chest. I know that I will constantly fight to love what's right because I was created with a heart that sits slightly to the left. But I'm okay with that. Because I always knew and always know that he knows exactly what is best. You see, he knew that it would only be a matter of time before I would open my eyes and finally realize that I needed to look deep down inside and pull out the divide so that my heart and my mind would collide and learn to work together.
What's going on? What's going on, my good people? We are back for another powerful, insightful episode of Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People. I am your host, Mr. Willie Beamen. I'm excited about this episode here. I think this is going to be a great one. I advise you to buckle your seatbelts because it might get a little spicy. But without further ado, I do want to give her introduction. She is a sought-out international speaker, author, master grief coach, and counselor. She is a sole proprietary of Dr. Tonya Enterprises, LLC, and founder of Let's Talk Healing Incorporated, under the umbrella of Tonya Cunningham Ministries, LLC. She has also written several impactful books, including the acclaimed I Got My Marbles Back, There Is Life After Loss, and Grief Work is Essential, Not Optional, a memoir of overcoming grief, depression, and rejection. And last but not least, she is a proud mother of Chelsea and D'Anthony and dog mother of Mr. Cunningham and Bentley Sebastian Cunningham. Online community, in-person family. Let's give a warm welcome to the one and only Dr. Tonya Cunningham.
Why, thank you, Willie. So glad to be here. So excited. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, this is something in the making, bringing you here, and I believe you have a lot of value and a lot to bring to this show today. And so, as I was studying and learning who you are and learning your bio, you've been through a lot, you've encountered a lot, you've experienced a lot. But at the end of the day, you're still here.
Absolutely.
You're still standing. And I believe your voice still has the impact that it needs. And so for you, take a moment to kind of walk us through who is Tonya Cunningham as a child. How was your childhood and upbringing?
So, as a child, I was just talking about this morning with my own therapist.
Wow.
Many people don't realize that I believe that every therapist should have a therapist, every pastor should have a pastor, basically saying that all of us should have somebody that we have poured into us.
Yes.
And so we were talking about my childhood this morning. And so as a child, I was a timid little girl. Believe it or not, I didn't like speaking. I was afraid all the time. I was bullied.
Wow.
Didn't even know that's what it was back then until I was an adult. So I was bullied. And so I had a loving family, but still experienced some tough times and really didn't understand the magnitude of that until now in my adult life.
Yeah. Wow. Any siblings?
I do. I have two older sisters, and they hate when I say that. Well, they are older than I am. I'm what you call the baby. My parents were older when they had me.
Wow.
So my eldest sister is 77, and then the next one is 72, 3, somewhere in there. I lost track of it. And then here I come along. I'm 59. I'll be 60 next month.
Right.
So I have two older sisters.
That's good. How is the relationship with you and your siblings to this day?
Great. They still, however, think that they are my mother. You know, our mother is deceased, gone home to be with the Lord. But at age 59, they still think that they can run my life. We talk every day.
Yeah.
They talk twice a day, every day. I said, now that's a little bit much for me. Hold on. But I've changed that and realized that my sisters are aging. And so I want to spend as much time with them as I can. So we talk twice a day. Definitely once a day for me. They talk twice a day, but every now and then we'll get that twice a day for me.
Yeah. I like that. Me being the oldest of four, there's three that's under me. My sister Jasmine, who's 2 years younger than me, and so we have a great relationship. Grew up single parent home. My mother did all she could to raise us and pour into us, and so still to this day, you know, she's calling, you know, hey brother, how you doing? And I'm doing the same thing to make sure that, you know, I'm pouring into her, but also her pouring in me. I don't believe age is a factor in regards to mentorship or being poured into.
Absolutely.
It goes back to the song Leah, age a number the number.
Nothing but a number.
Number the number, man. So no matter the age, I believe anybody could be mentored, anybody could be poured into.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that.
Yes. So under the umbrella of Tonya Cunningham Ministries, you have Let's Talk Healing Incorporated. What does that platform consist of? What does that look like?
So I must say, well, Tonya Cunningham's ministry was birthed out of the pain that I went through from a divorce.
Wow.
And so it started out that, and that divorce took place, in 2012, and then shortly after that, that's when the ministry was birthed. And then just here recently, we changed the name to Dr. Tonya Enterprises. And then Let's Talk Healing is another entity. It's my nonprofit.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's my nonprofit. It's where I provide counseling and coaching services to families and do one-on-one, and then we can do group settings and stuff like that. So that's really faith-based oriented, and it's a nonprofit status, just helping, my way of giving back to the community and helping people through grief.
Wow. You mentioned pain, and I know you are a master grief counselor. So who were those people pouring into your life at an early age? Because you mentioned every counselor needs a counselor, every
That's
pastor
right.
needs a pastor.
That's
So
right.
who were those instrumental pieces for you?
At an early age, it was my family. It was my mother, my father, and my two sisters. And then as I started growing and became a teenager, it was, in addition to them, it became my spiritual father, Pastor Alvin Pope. So he's well known here in the city of Fort Worth, and he taught at my high school. He taught the choir.
Wow.
And so I ended up joining the gospel choir, and he became like a mentor, and he really helped me grow in the things of God. So he was one that was pouring into me as a younger person.
Wow, that's amazing. You definitely need mentors
Absolutely.
nowadays. Same for me, man. Rest in peace. I don't know if you remember Pastor Paul Gardner. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yes, I do.
Station,
yes.
Christian Center, and his wife, Kalisha Gardner. Those were instrumental pieces in my life as I was, going through my walk as well, pouring into me, mentoring me, us going out to lunch, just hanging out and building relationship. Because I believe one key factor is relatability.
Absolutely.
Being able to be relatable. And so I'm definitely grateful for those people who poured into me as well.
And that's who you favor. I kept looking at you. I say, who does he look like that I know? Yes, absolutely. You favor him to me.
Wow. Yeah, that was my guy. Yeah, that was my
Great
guy.
people.
Yes. For you, how has healing changed the way you see yourself? Because I know most of the times when we're looking in the mirror, we don't want to deal with those things. We want to run away from them. We want to sweep them under the rug. We want to run away. So for you, how has healing changed the perspective of how you view yourself?
It's really caused me to see myself in a better way, in a positive way, because I, again, as a child growing up timid, in a timid space, I didn't like myself. So I was an adult before I really started liking who I was. But it wasn't until these last few years, I would say these last 10 years, that I really started loving me. And that's what healing did. We're speaking with Rita as we were just chatting over there, and she just kept looking and staring and stuff. She said, hey, wholeness. She said, you got to talk about that, because I talk about holistic living. So dealing with your spirit, your soul, and your body. So healing for me, again, is like freedom. It's like a weight lifted.
Well, let's get into that. How do you, as far as your holistic approach, what does that look like for people or the clients that you're dealing with?
Yes. So, because the majority of my clientele, they are people of faith. And so one of the major lessons that I learned going through the grief by way of the death of my marriage is that we, as people of faith, we generally don't deal with our emotions.
Yes.
We're going to pray about it. We're going to shout about it, and we're going to move on. And so the Lord really caused some scales to fall from my eyes. And so I went into a deep study of that. And so that's where the whole grief ministry really came from. And so now, helping people in the body of Christ understand, I want you to pray and I want you to do this, get some help. I want you to pray and I want you to eat healthy.
Yes.
Because we're in a time now, when I say we, the body of Christ, we not only need to pay attention to our spirit, but you got to take care of your soul. And this is what I teach people about. The soul is your emotions, your mind, and your will. So how do we deal with those emotions? A lot of time we got to go to therapy to do that. And so that's what holistic living looks like. It's a person who addresses each part of who they are, their spirit, their soul, and their body.
Yeah. It reminds me of the scriptures that says, as the deer pants after the water brooks,
so does my soul. Absolutely.
Thirsts after you. Yeah. And that word pant means to have a certain craving or.
That's good.
Yeah. And so, that's where I've been too. You mentioning us praying about it and doing all these different things, but not actually doing the work.
That's right.
To get there. And I feel like that's where I've been. And so for me, I've started my therapy journey.
Good.
Yeah, going into my third session, and it's been long overdue. I can say that it's been long overdue. And the reason why I say this is because I shared this on our most recent show. The guy who was on last week. I have this phrase that the Lord gave me when it comes to men specifically. We're taught to be Superman, but we're never taught to be Clark Kent. We're taught to put on this super cape and go through our life and put the world on our shoulders, but we're never taught to be human.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're never taught to come together as men and have dialogue and share and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? I
Yeah.
love you. Different things like that. I was just sharing this with my director, Michael. Women, you know, they have that nature of already being they're the nurturers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy for them to communicate and share and have that dialogue. But as men, because we're taught to be hardcore and keep
Absolutely.
this shell, like, nah, I'm just gonna suck it up and keep it moving. Give you a doubt, hey brother, how you doing? And never sit down and say, okay, how you really doing?
Yes.
What's going on with you?
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
I'm so excited for you. I am. That is something that has been near and dear to my heart as well, helping men understand the need to do that. I love how I use the Superwoman and Superman cape as well. I love how you said, but we're not taught to be human.
Never taught to be human.
Yeah. And dealing with those emotions. So good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I was a little nervous in the beginning.
Of course.
Like, okay, well, I don't know about this, but I definitely got, I have a great support system. Thank God for my wife of 12 years, being in my corner, holding me down. Thank God for the staff that I have here, pouring into me and supporting me in that journey. And so, I think it's definitely needed for us to grow and be better. Yeah, I totally agree. Take a moment to share a moment in your life when you realize healing was necessary, because you mentioned we pray, we do all these different things, but we just go about our life. We're just going with the wind. So when did you realize, okay, healing is necessary for me?
Sadly, Willie, it wasn't until just 10 years ago, and I'm 59.
Wow.
I accepted Christ in 84, October 1st, 1984. And so I was taught to do the things that we're taught in church, those kinds of things. So I didn't recognize the need for healing because I prayed about it. I was in performance mode, which comes from a trauma response, and didn't know all of that. So when I went through that divorce, it was the catalyst to the person that you see today.
Wow.
And really, because I had hit that rock bottom. All of us at some point in time in our life, we're going to have a rock bottom experience. For me, it was the divorce. And so I had to come to a face-to-face meeting with myself, say, okay, girl, you've got to do something different, because if nothing changes, nothing is going to change. So for me, that's where I admitted myself in the mental health hospital. And that's where my healing journey began. That's where the book, I Got My Marbles, came back, was birthed during that time. So it's only been 10 years that I realized the need to heal.
Wow.
I was doing what most people are not aware of until recently. It's called spiritual bypassing. And when I say most people of faith, spiritual bypassing is a term that speaks to we bypass our emotions and focus only on spiritual principles and activities.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so that's that going to church, going and praying only, and not allowing ourselves to feel. Many people of faith think that emotions are demonic, and they're not. God created emotions. Created all of them, anger as well as happiness, sadness, all of that. And emotions are meant to be felt so that they can be processed. So, to answer your question, just 10 years ago.
Wow. I'm glad you are walking through and starting that journey. So I'm definitely excited for your growth.
Thank you. Me too.
Well. It's always good, man, to push ourselves to be a better version of ourselves. One thing that my grandmother, who passed October last year, she would always say, grandson, I may be moving like a snail, but I'm still moving.
That's
so
right.
To me, that was very profound, because it let me know, even though I'm going through these hard times, these difficult times, as long as I'm doing the necessary work, as long as I'm putting one foot in front of the other,
absolutely,
I know that I can get through it. And then also having community. I think community is definitely important. People who are in your circle. Yeah, so
it's vital to our healing.
Yes,
that community piece.
Yeah,
because a lot of us are not able to progress in a healthy way because we don't have that great support system.
Yeah.
So healing definitely takes place in community.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You live by this quote as I was studying your bio. It says, grief is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of healing. So for you, how do you help people who feel stuck in their grief, who can't move past it, who've lost people, even though it's been 5 or 10 years or whatever the longevity was? How do you help people feel unstuck?
Great question. The very first question I asked them in that moment is, first of all, as Jesus asked the man, do you want to be made whole?
Yes.
So it comes from a mindset. I get asked a lot, almost daily. It was during the pandemic, and then now probably weekly, somebody will message me and ask me, how do you help somebody through grief when they're stuck in it? And I said, well, do they know you're reaching out to me? They said, no. I said, do they want to get help? They said, no. There is absolutely nothing we can do in that space to help people out of that place of being stuck in it unless they want to be out of that space.
Yes.
So it's a choice. Grief, again, is something that we experience. It is not about death only. It's about any kind of loss.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
that's what I'm learning.
Yes,
That's what I'm learning,
it's
Dr.
about
Tonya.
any kind of losses.
Yeah.
And those non-death losses are just as impactful as if, like when your grandmother died.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of people going through grief now. Immigrants are going through grief. People losing their jobs all of a sudden after being there for so many years because of what's going on in our current administration.
True.
They're going through grief. So I asked the person, do you want to be out of this space of being stuck? And if they say yes, then we can help them, and I educate them on what grief is and what it's not. That's what I've discovered being in this industry for over 35 years.
Wow.
I've recognized a lot of people, especially minority people, of my brown and black brothers and sisters, we don't understand what grief is. And so when we don't understand something, we can't do anything to change that or apply the information that we do learn. So how I help people get unstuck is I ask them, do you want to be unstuck? And are you willing to be open to follow these new directions or tools that I give you? Now, some people choose to stay stuck. Here's the thing. Let me say about grief. Grief is what happens on the inside of us. It's an emotional, internal chemical response to loss. When I say chemical, like hormonal, it's something that cortisol, norepinephrine, adrenaline, all of these stress hormones are released within our body. The moment you heard of your grandmother's death, boom, all those things started flooding through you, even if you didn't have an outward expression.
Wow.
So mourning is how you cope. That's what you're learning to do now by going through therapy. So you're learning to cope. So once I explain that to people, then I ask them, are they willing to move out of the pain of grief? Because grief never ends.
Yes.
Because it's what's happening on the inside of you. But what's supposed to end is the pain of it. So when people are stuck, they're choosing to stay stuck in the pain of it when they're not willing to receive the tools that we're teaching to help get them out.
Wow.
That was a long answer to your question. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. Wow, you broke that down very well.
Okay.
The pain on the other side of grief.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
It's funny you mentioned pain. I remember putting together a lesson, getting ready to teach, and I was going through this process of, my grandmother and the loss and trying to be there for the family, trying to be their support. And he told me, don't allow the hands of pain to shape you more than the hands of the potter. Because when you're shaped by pain, not saying that your pain isn't valid, not saying that grief isn't valid, not saying that what you're going through isn't valid, but when we're shaped by the hands of pain, we become a person that people can't identify with. We become a completely different person. But when we allow God to be the potter and put our life in his hands, then we become better.
Yes.
We become a better version of ourselves. And so, wow, the way you broke it down was...
I love how you said that, because I use it as, I call grief a threshold or a portal to a deeper spiritual life or experience. It just depends upon if you want that or not. Where I believe it's in Jeremiah chapter 9, one of the scriptures that came to life for me after going through grief and working through it, because all the other losses prior to the divorce, I spiritual bypassed. I didn't deal with those. And so, but it talks about call for the wailing and the mourning women and let them take up a wailing for us. Because when you're in the pain of grief and you're a person of faith, you generally will pray like you've never prayed before, either before that person dies or afterwards. So you can pray through that. The scripture talks about, yea, though I walk through the valley. It is a valley experience. And you can become closer to God as you process through your hurt and your pain, or it's going to be the opposite, kind of like what you were talking about. A lot of times people walk away from God because they do not understand grief. And they say, oh, God, let this happen. I said, well, not necessarily true.
Yeah.
We have to kind of talk about that.
Yeah.
God gets blamed a lot when it comes to grief, death, and dying.
Yeah. You're right. We have to get to a point to where we understand, like you mentioned earlier, what grief looks like. How do we frame that? And also, you mentioned earlier talking about grief is just loss in general. That takes me back to April of 2023 when I had foot surgery. Roslyn can attest to this. And I'm a part of the Fine Arts, so I don't know if you're familiar with my ministry.
Yes, I am.
So that's my heart. That's my passion. That's something I've been doing for 10 years plus, man, taking that gift and being a blessing to the people. And so I ended up having foot surgery. And so I was down probably for like over a year. And so, I remember coming home the next day after that anesthesia wore off, my goodness.
Yes.
Crying like a baby. I'm hugging my wife, trying to stand on one foot. It was so much pain and then going through that process. But I almost felt like I lost the ability to know, will I ever be able to walk again?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And that's grief.
Yeah. Will I ever be able to do this? Will I be able to be in this gift again and use this gift the way I need to use it? And so that was lost for me because I didn't know what that was going to look like. And it was a long, hard process getting through that. But I'm so grateful for, like we mentioned, community, the people, my support system, my sister, my siblings, my wife, just different people who helped get me through that. Going to physical therapy.
Yes.
Learning how to walk again.
Yes.
Wondering when I ever be able to put a shoe on my foot again so I can get through that process. And so, like you mentioned earlier, grief, when it comes to loss, it's general. It can be different things. And so, yeah.
And what you just described is what I teach about. You did the work. We have to do our grief work. That's the second book.
Yes.
And it was birthed during the pandemic, so during that time, a lot of people were called essential workers.
Yeah.
I was an essential worker too at that time. I worked for hospice. And so grief work is essential. It's not an option. So we have to be able to, and a lot of people don't even know what that is. What is doing the work? Going to your therapist is doing the work. Allowing yourself to talk about the grief is doing your work. So you did all the physical work so that you could be doing what you're doing today.
Yes.
Had you not done that, I know you would not be walking.
Yes.
You would not be where you are.
You're right. Let's get into that book since you kind of threw it in there. Let's talk about grief work is essential, not optional. And so when I look at this title, you mentioned the word essential. The word essential is something that you cannot live without. It's a necessity to your life. It's almost like oxygen to the body, or a blood flow to the brain and the heart. If you don't have those things, it's going to be very hard for you to survive physically. And so, when I saw that title, essential, that's a necessity. So, just kind of walk us through the process of this book.
Yes, so that one was written 5 years after the first one. In the first one, I was at a healed place, healed enough to write it.
That's good.
We definitely have to be healed enough to even speak about it and to write it. But it took me a while because there were some places that were still tender. And thank God I had a Christian praying editor who prayed me through and helped me through. I said, it's really hard to write about such and such and such. And so she did, but it was still the bare minimal of my story because I still hadn't processed some of the tough parts of it. So when we got to 5 years later, I was able to tell my story without pain of that. And it goes a little bit deeper. I talk about root work in there. When I say root work, for everything that we see, I like to compare us human beings to trees, and trees have leaves.
They do.
So we want to look at what's on your tree, what's on your leaves. Is there depression there, anxiety there? What else is there? Anger there? There's always a root. Just like, again, we have some good things on our tree, joy and those kinds of things. But we're looking for those things that cause us pain. We always want to trace it to the root. And so in that book, I encourage people to look at your root system. What is that? Your family. There's a lot of the things that we are dealing with as human beings. It didn't even start with us. It started with our family, our parents.
That's good.
And so in there, I talk about my depression talked about it a lot in the first book, but the second book I discovered because I was blaming my now ex-husband for my depression, and the Lord revealed to me through me partnering with him by doing my work, my essential grief work, is that he didn't cause the depression. It was already there from a child. That's that root work.
That's that root work.
Yeah, that's that root work.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
that's powerful. What are some other, I guess, key takeaways you would want the audience to, from if they wanted to purchase your book? What would be some things that would help them?
In addition to the root work, we talk about just having a greater understanding of grief.
Yeah.
After each chapter in both of the books, but mainly in the grief work, it causes you to sit down and you to look at your life. They're both memoirs about my life,
right,
my story, but it causes you to think about your story because everyone has a story.
Yes, I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
So my major takeaway would be at the end of each chapter there, I want you to sit down and to look at your life and to see what's going on. I give you prompts to help you get that conversation started. In addition to that, when I say conversation started, some of us need to go talk to our family members. Ask questions.
Yeah.
What was Big Mama like? What happened? And I did that. I called my sisters together and I said, hey, I need a family meeting with me and y'all's children. And both of them have sons. And I said, tell us the good and the bad and the ugly about Mama and Daddy.
Wow.
Because I was younger, so they saw more in a different space and life and people than I saw. Wow. And it was hard to sit through, but it was so necessary.
So necessary.
And it was so healing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it might be something I have to sit down and do and implement. You're definitely right. A lot of things come from our family, so it's good to have those hard conversations. And that's something that I'm learning to do as well, is sit down and have those conversations.
Yeah,
needed.
Yeah. One of those, before you move on, one of the things I found out is that when I asked my sisters about our mother, not only was she depressed, but all of her siblings were.
Wow.
So that's a bloodline thing.
Yes.
That needed to be addressed.
Yes.
And I said, so that's why y'all hovered over me. They did. They were like helicopter moms when I was going through depression. And they said, because we saw Mama in you, and we thought you were going to do the same thing like Mama. She had many, they called them nervous breakdowns then.
Yeah.
And it was because it was unaddressed stuff. And they said, but you broke it by doing the work.
Wow.
By doing the work. Yeah.
Wow. There's 3 words in this title: memoir of overcoming grief, depression, and rejection. So you're one who probably traveled and did the workshops and the seminars and the grief group meetings, just giving people the tools and resources, to be better. And so how has some of your seminars or workshops helped people recover from rejection? Because rejection is that's another tough one as well.
Yeah, and that because our developmental years are so vital. We really don't understand how important they are. Whatever happened to us, whatever we're exposed to, certainly will shape our life, but it doesn't determine our life, especially those who are people of faith in God. It doesn't determine our life, but it certainly has a lot to do with how we respond as an adult.
Yes.
And so I help people deal with that rejection, because from a natural and a spiritual space, when we don't deal with things in the natural, it can become a spirit of a thing. And when something is a spirit of a thing, that we call that in the church a stronghold.
A stronghold.
A stronghold. Like the spirit of heaviness. Where grief is a normal. I'm glad you're having this conversation, because we want to normalize talking about grief. And it doesn't have to be a stronghold, but when it's unchecked, when it's not dealt with, then it becomes a spirit of heaviness. Where the scripture talks about God hasn't given me the spirit of fear. But fear in and of itself is a normal response that God gives us. And it can be healthy, because if this building was on fire, God forbid, fear would say, y'all better run.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah, that's right. Let's get out of here. So rejection, again, is a normal response. That's what I felt as a kid when I was bullied. I just didn't know it was rejection. And then here I go, and I'm an adult, and I'm going through marriage, and this man says, I don't want you anymore. I'm like, what is going on? So that rejection, I teach people to first identify it, where the root of it came from, because
The
it
root
didn't
word.
come,
Yes.
and then we go and deal with it from that perspective, and then provide tools to help them navigate the rejection.
Yeah. And sometimes rejection, man, can be redirection.
Yeah. Yes.
Rejection can be redirected. We might look at it from the scope of, okay,
Yes.
I'm not enough, they don't want me,
Mm-hmm.
Different things that are going on. But if we look at it from that perspective, sometimes the Lord can be redirecting us
Yes.
and protecting us at the same time.
Yeah. And when I'm glad you brought that up, because a healed person will perceive it as redirection.
Yes.
But when you're not healed, you'd be like, oh, what's wrong with me? I wasn't healed, so that's why I thought, I'm like, I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Now I know, oh, okay. Yes, this was good for me.
Yeah.
That I've been afflicted.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier when you were writing your book that you were writing it from a healed place.
Yes.
Because I've heard this quote on social media that unhealed men can't leave if they're not whole.
That's right.
Going back to the man at the pool of Bethesda, do you want to be made whole?
There you
I
go.
can't change you. You have to want to change. You have to want to do the work.
Yes.
So, I definitely agree, man. When you're healthy, when you're whole, and things like that happen, like, okay, maybe he's protecting me from something. Maybe this rejection is necessary.
Yes.
So,
yes, you view things differently when you through healed eyes.
Healed eyes, yeah. I like that. What role does self-worth play in regard to how we handle rejection? Because like I said earlier, going back, looking into the mirror, and we see ourselves, feeling unworthy, the low self-esteem, the insecurities, all these different things that we're wrestling. So how does self-worth play a role in how we handle that rejection?
Well, they both go hand in hand, because if we don't have that self-worth, then it causes us to feel that rejection. So it plays a major role in it. And healing really involves us loving ourselves first. And then we can know how to love. I know a lot of marriages, even mine, it didn't work again because we had two people who didn't know how to love, coming from different places of trauma that we've experienced in our childhood. So that value, understanding who you are. When I'm working with people who are not married and they're going through grief or whatever trauma or pain or whatever, my recommendation is, are you willing to not date? That is the hardest question. I said, what do you mean? I said, I don't want you to date anybody else. I want you to date yourself.
I like that.
Get to know you, to know your worth, to know your value.
Yeah.
And when you understand that, it will definitely cause you to respond differently when it comes to rejection.
Wow. I love that. Date yourself. You heard Dr. Tonya Cunningham. Date yourself. It's crazy you say that, because in this season that I'm in, going through the different losses, like from 2017 up to now, man, I've lost at least between 6 to 8 people. And so in that, I'm trying to date myself. I'm trying to spend more time with myself.
Absolutely.
In self-care, whether it's, going to the movies, whether it's going to get a massage, whether it's going, to get my feet done. Rita, she like, you are a man who definitely likes to pamper himself.
Very good.
Yeah. So, that's kind of where I am, man. So I think that's very, very vital, man, in dating yourself.
I'm glad you mentioned about, you said, I take this time to date myself. I'll go get a pedicure, massage, and all of those things are well and good, and they bring great comfort to us. Most people think that's what self-care is alone. And self-care is not just that.
Wow.
Doing what you're doing as far as going to therapy is self-care.
Self-care, yes.
Learning how to set boundaries is self-care.
Yeah.
Saying no is self-care. But a lot of times we're taught, especially in the minority Black community, Christian community, you're going to push on through. Meanwhile, your body is tired, but you're still pushing through. That means we're not a good steward over the temple. Wow. That God has blessed us with.
Wow.
So really understanding what self-care really is, you can sit when you're healed, you can say, oh, okay, this is really self-care. Saying, oh, I need to reschedule that meeting. I'm sorry, I just don't have the capacity to come at this moment. Can we reschedule to such and such?
Wow, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I think that's a hard thing for a lot of us, is to say no.
Yes, that was me.
Yeah.
I said yes to everything. And that comes from when I mentioned earlier about a trauma response, a fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn that's happening in our brain. And that saying yes all of the time comes from being what we call a people pleaser.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about this. I got my marbles back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the life after loss. Let's get into that book.
That's the first one. That was written first, and then Griefwork was second. So
Okay.
that book was written right after the divorce. Well, a few years after, went through some healing, and I admitted myself in the mental health hospital because I had prayed, I had shouted, I had talked to my leaders, I had done all those things that I knew to do at that particular time. And I was still depressed. I was suicidal. So when he shared with me that he didn't want to be married anymore and he left, it crushed my world. It was
Mm-hmm.
like the rug was pulled out from underneath my feet. And so the only thing I knew to do at that time, that was my rock bottom experience, was to admit myself in the hospital. So I was there for 6 days and 6 nights.
Wow.
And if I tell you, that's where the Lord met me. And here's the thing, Willie, I didn't even know I was disconnected from God. I was going to church and I got reconnected with God in the mental health hospital.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of that. After being discharged there from 6 days, I went to outpatient therapy. And I was there for about 30 days. And I was so depressed and I was suicidal and all of that. I'd lost 30 pounds in 30 days because I wasn't eating.
Wow.
And it was an outpatient therapy when I went to my first day there, and I saw this big basket of marbles, and they had all these marbles, and I said, I wonder what that's for. And when I went into my first day of outpatient therapy, they were having what is called a marbling out ceremony. Where they would require you, once you matriculated through the program, you finished it, they wanted you to pick 2 marbles out of that basket that I saw. One that's going to represent how you were when you were admitted in the program. One is going to represent how you were when you graduated from that.
Yeah.
Yes. And so after going through that and went through the marbling out ceremony, and that's where the Lord said, oh, you're going to write a book called I Got My Marbles Back. And I was in there in the therapy room telling everybody, we got our marbles back. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. I had no idea that that's what was going to happen. But let me tell you who I saw in outpatient therapy. I saw apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers.
Wow. Wow.
In outpatient therapy to get help.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what you were saying earlier, we do all the necessary things we're supposed to do.
Yep.
In church, but really not doing, the work, the
That's
practical
right.
work.
That's right.
Wow, that's amazing. From this book, how do you avoid overwhelming readers while still being authentic about pain and loss?
How do I, I'm sorry, repeat the first
How do you
part?
avoid overwhelming readers when they're reading your book, when they're cycling through it, while still trying to be authentic?
Okay. So what I've been told, people who have read the book, it is so relatable.
Yeah. I mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, it's so relatable that it takes them past the fear of even talking about this grief, because it used to be taboo to talk about this subject called grief. So because I talk about myself and it helps them to see themselves, that they're able to bypass uh, being made to feel uncomfortable or something like that. Yeah. It kind of opens the door. It helps people to say, okay, I think I can talk about this this unknown phenomenon called grief.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it was a quote that Steve Harvey says is you gotta learn how to be comfortable and uncomfortable.
Yes, at the same time.
At the same time,
learning how to do that. Yeah, I heard somebody else say that as well. And as you begin to heal and be your true, authentic self, then that helps bring comfort to other people to say, "Oh, I can just be me, just be you."
Yeah.
We all have a different fingerprint. God is so amazing that He gave us all a different fingerprint, and just be you.
Yeah. For you, what are some things that you're doing outside of your therapy journey to make sure that Dr. Tonya Cunningham is, the best version of yourself? Like you mentioned earlier, the man in the pool of Bethesda, you want to be made whole, mind, body, soul, and spirit. So I'm proud that you are doing that work, but what are some other things that you're doing to decompress? Because you're seeing a lot of people, you're dealing with a lot of people, different personalities, different habits, different things that they're going through. So how do you take care of yourself?
Well, I have my own therapist to do that, and then I set boundaries. That was something that was challenging for me in the very, very beginning, but I set boundaries even with family. And now my sisters, because here's the thing, you have to heal, then you can teach people how to treat you.
That's good.
So when I use my sisters, they get so they're I call them the golden girls because they're hilarious at their age.
That was a funny show, man.
It really was. They're the golden girls, and they say, "Would you please stop talking about us in your?" I said, "Well, just don't give me material to talk about. I won't use you as my examples." But yeah. So I would say yes to them all of the time, especially the oldest one, because she really was like my mom. My mother was older when she had me, and going through that divorce in the very, very beginning is when one of the first times I told her, or the first time I told her no. She had asked me to do something, come over to see her grandkids or something. And no, she asked me to start a Bible study. She asked me to start a Bible study at home. And this is maybe 3 or 4 weeks after being separated, not even divorced, from my now ex-husband, who was also my pastor. And I said, I don't want to start a, why would I do that? She said, because the women at the church are hurting. And I said, girl, I'm your sister. And I'm a girl and I'm hurting. And if anybody's hurting, it's going to be me because I was married to him. So I'm not doing a Bible study. And that was the first time I told her no. And she's like, oh, I can't believe what? So now I have it down pat. So now they don't ask me all these things. They would always ask me, do this, do this. Can you come over here? I'm like, no, I can't do that.
Wow.
And so now I've taught them how to treat me in certain spaces so they know I set boundaries. And I've taught them now to set their boundaries.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a major one I do. I set my boundaries. I reschedule meetings.
Yeah.
I reschedule clients if I'm not feeling up to it.
Yeah.
I reschedule clients. I don't go to, I used to be a person to run all over Fort Worth, supporting everybody, going to everybody's conference. I don't do that anymore. So doing those things has helped me to decompress. I love watching movies.
Me too.
That helps me decompress.
Yes, I'm a movie watcher too.
I'm a movie watcher, so I'll put on Netflix and just prop my feet up and chill.
Yeah.
So those are a few things that I do to kind of decompress.
Yeah. What are some of your I guess genres of movies that you're interested?
I love Hallmark. Anything with love.
Sound like my wife.
Anything with love.
That is crazy. She's the same way. Hallmark movies.
Yes.
My mom and my sister.
I like those. I like
funny.
some action movies too.
Yeah.
Not too big on the scary ones, but I'll watch it from time to time. But I just like a good movie with a good ending and things like that.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Good movie, relaxing at home. I ain't gotta do too much. Yeah, I don't know. I'm got to a point in my life, man, as I'm getting older, it's like the partying and all that stuff. I've done all that. I've went through that season. I believe as you mature, your desires for things start to change. Your appetite starts to change for certain things.
True.
So yeah, I'm the same way. Me and the wife be at home chilling, be on social media watching funny videos, just bonding time.
Very good.
So yeah, I'm definitely with that. You mentioned earlier setting boundaries. It took me to the scripture that says, "He who has no rule over his own spirit is like a broken down city without walls." And so, to me, the revelation is we have to stop giving people access without permission.
Oh, you want me to run around here? That's good.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we have to learn how to say no. I can't do it. Eventually, you're gonna experience burnout. And then you're going to wonder why you're breaking down mentally, emotionally, physically.
That's
because you keep saying yes to these different things. And so when I really saw that, that scripture, that's revelation you gave me, I was like, wow. Stop even giving them access without your permission.
Without my permission.
Yes.
That's so good. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a book. You should write it.
I think I'm going to stick to the dance arena. I'm going to stick to mommy, I'm going to stick to being a communicator,
Okay, we'll write it.
Y'all write it for me,
We'll write it.
I'll be in there with y'all to write it. Oh, that's funny. Going back to some of your clients that you work with, how do you explain the stages of grief to clients? And do you believe they all apply to everyone?
When we talk about the stages of grief, that's they were coined by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She was one of the pioneers in the grief industry, and she was able to develop those stages by following people around who were terminally ill, like people on hospice. And so she noted that they went through these stages, but she also noticed not only did the dying person go through them, but the people around the bed did. So the family members and things like that. In today's world, in the grief industry, most clinicians don't believe that the stages of grief are applicable to the current grief expression today.
Hmm.
I disagree. I always give that disclaimer when I'm talking to people in case they go do their research. They can find out that I am well aware that most grief people, grief therapists, counselors, or whomever don't normally use the stages because they again believe it was because it was when people were dying. But I do see people in those stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. That's why I do use them as a part of my treatment plan and teaching people about that. But her predecessor or her mentee at that time was a guy named David Kessler. And so he's well known now in the grief industry as well.
Wow.
And he added a sixth stage called meaning. And he wrote a book about that. Meaning is the sixth stage of grief, because we can find meaning in the grief process, but you have to work through that. Yes. Now, people of faith, we want to know in the beginning, Lord, what meaneth thou this? You sit down and do your grief work. That's what that means. Instead of trying to figure out why God, allowed or did a certain thing, you can find great meaning. What we're doing today is meaning from my grief process of going through divorce. Had I not submitted to the process of going through the work, I would not be traveling all over the world.
Yes,
I would not be doing, so that brings meaning to me. I get to help hundreds of thousands of people. Yes. That brings meaning to me.
I love that.
Yeah. So just teaching about, again, the educational piece, teaching people about grief and the stages of grief and what they mean, what that looks like in their life today.
Gotcha. Yeah. I guess what are some, resources or websites or whatever that people can dive into to help them in their grief process?
If they're faith-based, griefshare.com.
Okay.
That's all over the U.S. It's a national resource. You can go to griefshare.com and put in your zip code, and it will pull up any church that's in your area that's providing that resource.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, of course, during the pandemic, everybody was virtual, but now I understand they have virtual and in person.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
So that's for faith-based. If you're dealing with suicide, you can always call NAMI. That's on Google, NAMI, National Association for Mental Health and things like that.
Yeah.
If you're dealing again with suicide survivors, there's a resource for that too. So it's a lot out there on grief. What I will say is being careful, because we have information at our fingertips by way of the internet. You want to be careful of joining just random grief groups. You want grief groups that have a facilitator that can help guide you through the process versus getting in a group where you got a bunch of sad people going nowhere and they're stuck in their grief. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Before we close the show, kind of elaborate on your children's books that you have.
Yes, these are new. Yeah. These are new. Chelsea Cares was written. I released that last year because I had a lot of adults who started asking me, do you have anything for kids? Do you see kids? I do, but adults are my specialty. Gotcha. Dr. Roz is the one that specializes in the children. I refer them to her. But I did want to write a piece because I believe if we start teaching our children, if I knew back then, right, we say that, if I knew back then what I know now, I would be so much better. So this one really is based upon my daughter, our daughter, Chelsea. And Chelsea is the bear, because that's something that's a part of my ministry, the Let's Talk Healing, where I have teddy bears that I give to. It started out giving it to children, but the adults kind of took over and said, we need this and we want this. But this is on anywhere from ages 5 to 8 to kind of talk about grief and things like that.
Gotcha.
And then it's got a companion, a coloring book, because this adult coloring is the thing now.
Yeah.
That's the way that you can decompress and deal with your grief. So it's a coloring book, and I have adults who really bought these books for themselves.
Wow.
That didn't get to process grief as a child. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So we have Chelsea, and she has a coloring book, but then Caden Cares, he has a book too, because I had people last year say, well, my grandson's not going to read a pink book or a girl's book, so we have Caden Cares, and that's the boys' version of the
Gotcha.
same book.
Wow, it's amazing that you say adults are choosing that
Yes,
one.
adults are choosing it now.
Wow, that's cool. Before we close the show, this is my favorite part of the show. This is what's your library joy, as we kind of discuss our experiences growing up in libraries, working with libraries, things of the sort, but also get Dr. Tonya Cunningham's insight on our beautiful displays that I showed her earlier today. So
Yes.
before we get to that, just kind of share your experiences with libraries, or did you ever grow up in them? What was it like?
I did. I thinking now, man, I just had a flashback in high school. Our librarian was Mrs. Lincoln, and boy, was she mean. Oh my God. She was mean, Miss Lincoln, but she loved the library. And so I grew fond of that. I volunteered in the library in high school. And so I love physical books. I don't do the audio, the digital, whatever. People say, I read a book today. I said, how you read a book? Well, it was audio. I'm like, that's not reading a book to me. Reading a book means you grab the book and you're going to open. Yeah. I love feeling those pages. Yeah. So I love the atmosphere of a library. I think it's vital, especially in our society today, where everything is just about digital.
Yeah.
So I think this keeps us in a space of remembering again the significance of books and things like that. I think it's vital to our community, vital to the family.
Yeah.
And I love the vision that you all have here, because it's not just, again, uh, uh, just local here. It's for the whole community.
Yes.
It's for the whole. So you have a vision. You have things that we can do here in the community. We can go to the library. So I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited, to where we're going, and definitely want to see this process become fulfilled. And you mentioned um, the reading and how important it is to read, and literacy. I'm working on a program that I want to do for the teens next month, entitled Beyond the Spine Cover Creation. We're basically allowing them to repurpose book covers based on books that they've read. They have, personal relationship with, whether it's writing on the cover, the character or the theme or a certain word or sentence, and just allowing them to be creative, but at the same time pushing literacy. And so, libraries are definitely important. Like I mentioned earlier, being for a year and a half, man, I've definitely had a fun time working here, and it's pushing me to read more, like you mentioned earlier, the hard copies, and I got a bunch of them.
Yes,
so I
me
need to
too.
do that. And reading those hard copies, but yeah, reading is definitely essential. But I'm definitely excited for what we're getting ready to do. I'm definitely excited for where the outside of this library, because one thing that I'm learning is first impression is everything. So like I showed you the ranch style setup, so when people are driving down Forest Hill Drive, having the ability to see that from afar, I'm like, okay, what's that?
What's going on over there?
What's going on over there? And so when they see that, that has the ability to draw them in to come see what's going on the inside. And so, definitely excited to see this project coming to fruition, man. So, yeah, it's been fun, but I had a great time.
Me too.
Today, Dr. Tonya Cunningham, this was amazing. I kept my seatbelt on, kept my seatbelt tight, because you was dropping some gems. You definitely helped me understand what grief is and how you framed it. So I definitely appreciate what you're doing in our community. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the invite. I look forward to coming back and hosting some things here. I'm loving the environment here. I said, my ideas are just rolling around in my brain to do some things here in the community.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that. Me being over programming adults, teens, children, I'll be the point of contact. And so partnership is everything. That's what I'm learning. Partnerships, networking. Who can we network with and partner with to create these innovative programs? So yeah, I'm ready to do something.
Sounds good. Thanks for the invite.
Yes, this is Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People. And I say we definitely had an extraordinary conversation on today, man. I hope you guys took a lot of gems and nuggets that was dropped on today, man. Like she mentioned earlier, find out what the root is. Do the root work, man, so you can be the better version of yourself. We will see you guys next week as we continue Facebook Live at 12 p.m. Don't go nowhere. We got a special treat for you guys, but I won't share it now, but I'll share it next week. We see y'all. Peace.
Peace.